Good evening. Hello. How are you? Today was a rough day. It was a very rough day. The kind of day where you just feel like turning off your brain. You just want to turn off your brain and watch some TV, mindless TV. And tonight we had the anti show. So sometimes you got to do the things that you don't want to do, or you got to do, what is it? The things that you don't want to do, you got to do the most, something like that. There's some sort of old adage and whatnot. We had such a good time on the last anti show. I feel that we had to do it again. So this thing does not want to stay on properly. It's really annoying. Come on, you friggin' bum. It's a friggin' bum. So that's what we're going to do. We're here and we're going to do the anti-show. So let me sing the theme song for the There is no theme song for the anti-show. We need to come up with one. Boo, 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 boo. It's the anti-show. It's the anti-show. Don't you know? Don't you know? Don't you know? Don't you know? It's the anti-show. It's the anti-show. Don't you know? I just made that up on the spot. Anti-show. There it is. But here's the thing. The anti-show only works with audience participation. So you got to tune into the live show and you got to, submit a topic for discussion and then we discuss it. And last time we had so many responses, we went for 2.5 hours. I can't do 2.5 hours tonight, but let's see what is possible on the anti-show. How about that? Let's see what is possible. To start us off, I got a package in the mail from Mr. Erie Vaughn. That's right, Erie Vaughn of Sam Hain and Danzig fame sent me a little package. Let's see what's inside. What could be in this package from Erie Vaughn? We need another theme song called What Would Be in This Package? Something like that. What would be in this package? What would be in this package? What could it be inside this package? We'll work on that one. I think the anti-show theme song is going to stick. That's going to stick. I wasn't intending it to. Let's see. Oh my goodness gracious me. Look at this. It's Erie Vaughn's brand new CD. Look at that. And what's it called? Not for Nothing. Not for nothing. Not for nothing. Erie Vaughn is not for nothing. Not for nothing. Not for nothing. Let's take a look. Look, there's Erie on the back singing. And he left me a little note. There's a little note in here. We'll read the note in a second from Mr. Erie Vaughn. And this was put out on Erie Vaughn Records. Look at that. Erie Vaughn Records. And, there's only one way to get this CD if you want it. You got to talk to Erie. You got to message him on somewhere and inquire about his about his CD. I think you got to hit him up on his Gmail. Erie Vaughn at Gmail. ErieVaughn777 at gmail.com. And you say something like, hey, Erie, I want a CD. And I bet you he'll send you one. So you can get a CD from Mr. Erie Vaughn that way. Erie, thank you so much for the CD, man. I look forward to hearing it. Part of unboxing something is I can't really listen to it right now. Unfortunately, I can't. So I'm going to be able to listen to it. Erie's pick of poison is the CD. He didn't do vinyl. It's probably very expensive to do something like that. So here, hold on. Let's open this sucker up. What am I doing? Here we go. Nice little jewel wallet. It's a jewel wallet sleeve here. I can't see with these goddamn glasses on. Let's take a look. Nice little layout. There's Erie. It's my understanding this is kind of like a country record. It's also my understanding that he has enough music for another record as well. Really like the layout. Layout is nice. Special thanks to Eric Martin for making this record possible. Evie thanks Mel Anthrop, his family and friends, Laura J., Brian Stewart, and everybody who lends their talents on this record. A bunch of people on. Well, Erie played guitars, upright bass, xylophone, and additional audio engineering. It's produced by Eric Martin and Erie Vaughn. He has not put out a record in a very long time. So that's cool. He's doing it. He's doing it under his own label, Erie Vaughn Records. Good for you, Erie. Look, that's how you contact him. You contact him at erievaughn777 at gmail.com if you want Erie Vaughn's new CD. Well, once I've listened to it, we'll talk about it. So here are the track listing here. Takes One to Know One. Tuntil, Erie, Erie, I think you have a what's it called? You might have a typo here, unless this is wrong. It says Tuntil we meet again. Did you mean until we meet again? Tuntil. It ain't love. What I can't find. Loving you. Is it really you? This record should be called the You record. You and Me. Is that a cover? Is that a cover of the Danzig track? Hey Louisa, Slight Return, Don't Make Plans Anymore, and Better Than I Do, and then Not Once Today. Okay. Erie, I'm going to check it out. Thank you so much. Thanks, buddy. It's awesome. Everybody go out and buy this CD. Support Erie Vaughn, man. Very freaking cool. Very, very freaking cool. All right. And let's see what Erie wrote. Erie wrote me a little note. Oh, he didn't write it to me. He just wrote, this is just a Xerox thing. I thought it was a note. This is what Erie wants you to know. Please do not post my songs on YouTube or any other sites. People need to buy the music from me. Thanks, Evie. You know what? I can appreciate that. I can really appreciate that. The dude is trying to self-distribute his music in his own kind of way. So you heard the man. Don't put this on YouTube. Don't put it on any other sites. Buy it directly from Erie, okay? This is how you get the music. That's the way to do it. I'm putting that. That's a cool little note. Okay. Thank you, Erie. Putting this over here right now. We got a few questions coming in. And put the sunglasses back on. All right. So R King, we haven't seen R King in a long time. Hi, R King. He says, did you ever do a film review of the film Repo Man? Seems like a fun topic to cover. I don't know if I've ever talked about Repo Man on this channel. I love Repo Man. Repo Man, to me, is one of those incredible cult classic films that you really can't synthesize any other way but like through like a unique original prism. Does that make any sense? Like that, like Repo Man is an entirely original voice. It's a quirky, weird idea. Repo Men repossessing a car that has an alien in the trunk. Anytime someone opens the trunk, they get fried. It kind of ends like Repo Man and Grease end in the same way with flying cars. Like it's a weird friggin' movie. You have Black Flag on the soundtrack, Harry Dean Stanton and Emilio Estevez. It's a punk rock movie too, like big time punk rock movie. It really shows like LA itself in the late 70s, early 80s, whatever, is like its own character. It was made in 84, right? So it's kind of like hardcore is really starting to wane, or the first wave of hardcore is starting to wane at that point. That was like 84 into 85 is kind of like the death knell of hardcore punk, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that's not to say it didn't exist. Of course, it's endured for decades, but just like the original first wave, that original first scene, you have all those weird generic labels like beer, cornflakes, like just the generic brand. Kind of reminds me of Flipper, the Flipper record, generic Flipper. I'm not into Flipper, but reminds me of that. And yeah, just a really strange, quirky movie. movies like Repo Men are my favorite. Those are the types of movies that I aspire to try and make myself, and like I said, they're so unique and original. You can't really, it's nothing that it's like, there's no premise in there that you're taking from, everything's a premise. Like Alien is a haunted house in outer space, right? Um, like every universal horror film is Beauty and the Beast on some level, right? Like, so it's like, a movie like Repo Man, or I don't know, there's a million of them. Like they're just their own weird thing that no one could ever come up with in any other way. I don't know, man. I love Repo Man, and it does have a sequel, and I think there's another movie that potentially might be coming out. There was another film called there's also Repo the Genetic Opera. That's a whole other different bag. Talk about a movie trying to market itself right off the bat as a cult film. I remember when Repo the Genetic Opera came out, and was like, it tried so hard to be Rocky Horror that it almost fell flat on its face. It does have, I feel like the cults behind Repo the Genetic Opera has not endured, it just hasn't endured the way that it has for Rocky Horror. But the point being is that it just didn't market it. It didn't market itself in a good kind of way. It's like a movie. Here's the thing about a cult movie. You can't call your movie a cult movie. It has to earn the reputation for being a cult movie. And that was, that was not what Repo the Genetic Opera was trying to do. I mean, Repo Man was not trying to be a cult movie. Repo Man was just trying to be a, quirky, offbeat, independent film, although I think most independent films kind of, like, what makes them endure is a cult following. I don't know. That's weird. They're like different levels of cult. I have this really interesting flavor of seltzer tonight. This is melted ice pop bubbly. So this is seltzer, straight seltzer. There's no sweeteners or anything in it. It's the flavor profile is melted ice pop. And, it kind of tastes like melted ice pop, but man, like, it's like just seeing the label and the art. When you drink it, you feel like you're drinking a melted ice pop, whether it tastes like it or not. It tastes like, as they always say, it tastes like a melted ice pop farted on some carbonated water. And that's what this is, but it's really good, really refreshing, really hits the spot. I bought 2 cases of it because it's a limited edition flavor. It's going to go bye-bye. It was a summer flavor. Oh, that is great. That is great. Okay, let's move on. Minister of Darkness is here and asks, any chance in hell that Danzig reunites the original Danzig lineup and tours? I mean, look, like, I honestly can't answer that. Like, I don't know. But if I had to guess, I would say it is so highly unlikely. I know that I've said many times on the show, never say never when it comes to Jerry Only and Glenn Danzig. After Jerry Only and Glenn Danzig reuniting, the thought of anything being impossible seems off the table. So is it impossible? No, but I think it's highly improbable. I don't think that, I think that the way things are in the Danzig camp, that, and Glenn is never going to extend that invitation to Erie or to John Christ. Unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. He's got a very stable, solid lineup, and that's a great lineup. Steve is great on the bass, and Tommy is great on the guitar, and I know Johnny isn't the drummer anymore, but listen, he's been stable a long time. I don't think he's going to switch it out anytime soon. Would it be awesome to just see, like, kind of in the way that the Damned did tour with Brian James, right? They just did like the original Damned record. Like, that would be cool if Danzig was like, okay, hey guys, I'm just putting this on ice for a minute. I'm going to put this on ice for a minute. I'm going to bring back the original guys. Chuck's never going to play. He's not going to play again, And so I don't know. I don't think it would ever happen, man. And as much as, I don't think John or Erie would do it. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe under the right circumstances, they could figure it out. Would it be like a mind melt? Yeah, it would be friggin' awesome. It would be cool to see. I think there's a lot of people who would want to see that. There's definitely a demand for it. But I think that the rifts are too big in all those camps that I don't think it would happen, to be honest. I will say this. And I've spoken to John about this personally. I was like, John, why aren't you and Erie like, why you guys need to just go out and do something like whether it's in the studio or, a couple of dates, something. You guys should have a band. Like, that's what I would want to see. Like, at this point in time, who would sing? I don't know. Like, but, I don't know. This is going to sound crazy. Maybe Erie could sing, right? It'd be kind of cool if they had like a power trio. Find some drummer, and then you just have Erie and John. You could even have them both on acoustic guitars, right? You have Erie kind of holding down the rhythm guitar, and you have John just doing his thing on the other acoustic guitar. It could work, man. I mean, those guys do have some chemistry, right? So why not? Like, why not? But the idea of like an original Danzig lineup, I don't know, man. I don't think that would ever happen at this point. I just don't. I do not. Emilio plays. Cousin Jody Ramone is here. Caught it while eating White Castle. Oh, Riot stickers. Doesn't it ruin the shows that Glenn dresses like Danzig instead of Misfits for these reunion shows? That is a great question, Sharpie Riot. And I agree. I love that Glenn is now wearing like this sleeveless leather jacket for whatever reason in this last, couple of shows, because it really kind of ties the image together. When you see him just dressed as Danzig, it kind of like, it's like, dude, come on, man, like do the Misfits thing. If you're going to be the Misfits, right? So I'm kind of all about that. Like, I kind of feel like he could throw on a Harlock shirt and it would be pretty cool. It would work. It would totally work. I'm not saying for him to do a Devil Lock or anything, but just to have like a Harlock shirt on, maybe like a Harlock shirt and like the sleeveless leather jacket. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter what these guys are wearing, but it does kind of it doesn't ruin the show, but it ruins a bit of the magic and the mystique of the Misfits. It's like, it reminds you that Danzig, that this is a post Danzig Misfits entity instead of the Misfits, like a part of me does kind of want to be blinded and just be like, oh my God, that's the Misfits, instead, this is the original Misfits. I don't know if any of that makes any sense. It would be cool though. That would be really friggin' cool if he wore like a Harlock with something like what I'm wearing right now. Again, Glenn isn't my action figure. I don't need to dress him up for him to do his thing, but it'd be kind of cool. It'd also be a little sticky. And you know what else is sticky? Riot stickers. That's right. Riot stickers. Sharpie Riot knows all about Riot stickers because Riot stickers is the sponsor of this channel. You can get 200 die cut stickers for $69. Link is down in the description. Go to riotstickers.com/Frumess. That's FRUMESS. Let me tell you what, if you want stickers in the shape of Glenn Danzig wearing a sleeveless leather jacket, you can get them from Sharpie. You might get sued by Glenn Danzig. Be very careful. You might get sued by Glenn Danzig, but you would have some really cool stickers in the process. So you might want to get Uncle Glenn's permission before you get those printed up. How do you print a sticker in the shape of Glenn Danzig? Well, you use a computer-guided scalpel. Computer-guided scalpel, that's how you get a die-cut sticker in the first place. Computer-guided scalpel would also make a really cool metal band name. So keep that in mind. Somebody's got to get out there and start a band called Computer-Guided Scalpel. So let's make that happen, people. In the meantime, I'm going to play the theme song, and we're going to be right back with more Anti-Show in just a moment.
Posters and promo cards, there's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads, we can print on shirts, we can print on hats, we can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality, stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot stickers, we are the bomb.
And that, my friends, is a promise. Okay, we are back with more anti-show. How does the anti-show work? Well, we have nothing planned. That's right. There's no plan. To quote Blackfinger in Mad Max Fury Road, when Max asks him, what's the plan? He goes, plan? Plan? There is no plan. I'm sorry. I thought that would be better, more impactful than it was. It's not. And I keep scratching my nose because I got to trim my beard hair. I promise I don't have a cocaine problem. Okay. So let's keep this going. John Smith is here. John Smith says, Emilio plays another punker in Nightmares 19. You know, I think I've seen this. I think so. I don't remember. Now, I guess I would remember if it was Emilio Estevez and had a punk soundtrack. In Nightmares 1983, an anthology. In his story, he's obsessed with an arcade game that comes to life. Lots of punk on the soundtrack. You know, anthologies are my specialty, and I'm on a quest to see them all, the good, bad, and the ugly. So I'm definitely, maybe I'm going to put that on my 31 Days of Halloween list. Guys, just so you're aware, we are a month out from 31 Days of Halloween. Do you know what 31 Days of Halloween is? Every year I watch at the minimum of 31 Halloween or 31 horror movies during the month of October. Well, why do I say minimum? Because the goal is to watch as many as I can for the month of October, but the bare minimum has to be a movie a day. So I'm always out to fill the quota of 31 films, particularly 31 films that I most likely haven't seen before. And then when I started doing YouTube, I started reviewing the movies, okay, which made things so much more difficult. And I feel like my productivity actually went down in watching because I had to make reviews to keep up. It was a nightmare, and it wasn't fun, and nobody watches them. I don't know why I do it. So I've changed up the format. So what we do is we do reviews every single week. I review what I wrote on my letterbox, and those get clipped up. So basically we do week by week. So I invite all of you to watch 31 horror movies with me. We'll go over the rules. We always do the kickoff show at the end of September. So we're a month out from the kickoff show, and then we launch right in 31 Days of Halloween here at the Frumess channel. You got to join me. It's so much fun. I love horror movies. I watch horror movies all year round, but I always make sure to watch at least one to average for every day in the month of October, because it's just my thing. I've been doing it for over 10 years now. This, in fact, I think this is my 10th year doing 31 Days of Halloween. But it's only been 4 or 5 years that I've been reviewing them on YouTube. So that's all new. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Going to be a lot of fun. Cousin Jody Ramone asks, thoughts on the Sublime Story, Tales, and Lies and Exaggerations doc. I have it sitting right over there on DVD. I got it sometime in 2002, and I used to watch it all the time, man. I mean, that's how I learned about Sublime. You know, especially like the internet was in its infancy, was there, but you know, there was some stuff. There was the Sublime, there was the Skunk Archive, there was a couple of things, but like the Sublime Spot. But that was a great way to learn about the band. So it's funny when they did this new documentary, it was kind of like, it was not nearly as cool. The new documentary was it was trying to just straight up tell the story of the band, and it kind of ends at like it ends in the same way that Story Tells, Lies, and Exaggerations kind of ends. Except Story Tells, Lies, and Exaggerations, it's a lot more the voice feels a lot more pure. You know, it's a documentary made by made by people that were in the extended circle. It wasn't made by a random filmmaker. And so you have interviews from so many people in the Sublime extended family that are not present in the new documentary that came out. And I just think it's a great friggin' watch. And I kind of wish, there's a longer cut of Sublime Story, Tales, Lies, and Exaggerations. For those of you who don't know, it's just basically, it's like a 2-hour Mod Podge. It doesn't tell the story in a narrative linear sort of way of Sublime. It's sort of just weaves throughout all these different groups of people, and you kind of, oh, these are the Ziggins, and this is that, and this is this. There's Mike Watt, there's Miguel, and it kind of just takes you through. I really, really like Story Tales, Lies, and Exaggerations, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but I think it's great. Everybody, it's on YouTube. You can find it really, really easy, and everybody should check it out. There are some great stories in there, and I imagine there was a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor that they could or should, make an extended cut with. Pigeons Are Atheists says, in your video about the Misfits reunion, there's a clip at the end where Jerry says that they recorded a set in LA and have it on CD. I found it interesting. Do you have any thoughts on it? I don't have any thoughts on it really, other than, I mean, that's what you do when, or at least that's what they choosing to do is, they're recording the set so that they could so that he can run through the set. I mean, it would be is it anything that's worth releasing? Probably not, other than, the historical value of it. Like it would make for probably a really cool limited edition record store day release. This is the set that the Misfits ran through. Like the story behind the recording is far more interesting than maybe even the songs themselves. I really love records and collections of songs and demos and things that have that kind of that are tied more to the history than they are to the artistic merit. You know what I mean? Like that's the cool thing about like a collection of demos, because they tell a story behind it and allows you to sort of imagine what is going on historically at that time as it's happening, or you get a peek inside of the creative process. In this case, there's nothing really creative about it. It's more utilitarian. Hey, we need to be able to run through the set. There's still a story behind the songs or the recordings. So you could put that out. You could put that out in some way, shape, or form. But the Misfits don't even put out like Evil Eye 3. So why would they put out this? So it would never, also another thing that would never happen. So I guess that those are my thoughts on it, if that makes any sense. John Smith asks thoughts on Tiger Army, specifically Tiger Army 2. I believe that's what is that? Ghost Tiger Army or Power of the Moonlight or something, with London May on drums. And 2 seconds into that album, it's London May. It's interesting. Like, does London May have like a signature drum sound? Because he drums on a couple of songs on November Coming Fire. I don't think I've heard his work on. Did he drum on Dag Nasty? I know he played for them live, but I don't think he's on any records. He's on Reptile House, that Reptile House EP. That was his band before Sam Hain. I don't know if there's any, it's hard enough for me to tell when a drummer is a drummer. I mean, I guess I would know who I could instinctively hear Chuck Biscuit's drumming pattern, drumming sound or whatever. I don't know how you would know 2 seconds into the album that it's London May, but hey, I mean, that's cool. In terms of that record, that's actually the only Tiger Army record that I have. And why do I have it? I don't know. Oh, you know why? Because it came out on Nitro Records, which is the same, which is the Offspring's record label. They also put out Divided We Stand and Disappear by TSOL, as well as the Damned Grave Disorder record, which has Democracy on it, which is a great song. They also put out Tiger Army Power of the Moonlight. And there's a song on there that I guess London May drums on that song. It's my understanding that London May, and again, I'm speaking out of turn here, and someone could tell me better than I know. It's my understanding though that London May and Nick 13 had a big falling out. There was some falling out. There was some beef. Something happened, and London May quit Tiger Army. He left the band, and that's why there's a video for the song that I really like called Incorporeal. I think it's probably, I could maybe tell you 3 Tiger Army songs off the top of my head. I don't even know if I could actually. I've seen Tiger Army live. I saw them at Riot Fest. They were great live. The thing about psychobilly bands in general is that for the most part, that I feel like it's a very sort of one note thing. It's a very derivative cookie cutter sound. Listen, no disrespect in that way. I just feel like it's very hard to do something unique and original within the parameters of what makes psychobilly. And so a lot of it just ends up sounding the same to me. I think the Necromantics really stand out. They do a great job of standing out. In fact, Necromantics are probably the psychobilly band that I've listened to the most. I don't know if Tiger Army is categorically considered to be psychobilly. I think they are. The tenets of psychobilly, or some of the aesthetics, are it's usually a three-piece. There's always a stand-up bass. And I don't know. It's just I always find they just all sound very similar to me. And so, it's not that I don't dislike. I like the aesthetic, but it's a one-note aesthetic. I don't hear anything really. I don't hear any bands that are really here. That's the problem with an aesthetic like that. It's very hard to kind of break out. Like, the thing that I respect and love about TSOL, speaking of TSOL, is that they started kind of in hardcore punk rock and death rock. They started in death rock, really. And they've sort of expanded outward. They've never been defined by any parameters for what made them, iconic. And, other bands that have kind of suffered in that way are the Ramones. I mean, the Ramones expanded their sound and kind of did things outside of their sound. But for the most part, they're also kind of in that same thing that made the Ramones so great. The brilliance and simplicity also kind of confined them to a box as musicians, right? Like, for Johnny Ramone never grew as a guitar player. He did one thing and he did it really fucking well. And that was it. He did one thing. And when it came time to do those guitar solos on those records, he always got Walter Lure. He had Daniel Ray. There's always somebody else to do it for him. He wasn't doing those solos. That wasn't him. Sometimes he wasn't even playing guitar. My point in all of this is to say that with psychobilly, there's just not, you can't grow. There's not much growth. And so for that reason, I've never really delved into the discography of Tiger Army, or, I guess the most exploration I've done is with Necromantics. Return of the Living Dead is a great record. I do have Curse of the Coffin. I have some of those early records. Demons Are a Girl's Best Friend, Gargoyles Over Copenhagen, Necronauts, Who Killed the Cheerleader. I think that's the big hit. Curse of the Coffin, the song, Love at First Bite. That's a great track by Murder for Breakfast. Those are some great Necromantic songs for sure. But again, even they just do the same thing over and over again every record. I mean, look at AC/DC, right? That's the big complaint about AC/DC. So I feel like the thing that psychobilly suffers from, and then here's the weird difference. It's like garage rock has a similar problem, but for some reason, it's like I can't get enough of it. Like, sometimes I can get sick of it, but like, I'm happy to listen to a million bands that have that kind of garage rock sound. I can't say the same for psychobilly. Psychobilly feels more like it's just like a novelty to me. And so there are certain novelty songs from different bands that work, that are great. But other than that, all of that to say that Incorporeal on Tiger Army 2 is the best thing that Tiger Army has done. I believe London May plays drums on that. It's a great friggin' song. It's a really sad song. It's really kind of emo, and I don't mean it sounds emo. It's just like emo, and it's, it's just a real kind of self-pitying kind of song. Great for when you're just feeling really down in the dumps and you just want to hear something that makes you feel something. And the video is great too. But London May is not in that video, and I think that's because he had a falling out. So I hope that explains that. Riot Stickers asks, am I going to Riot Fest? I would love to go to Riot Fest. I am most certainly not going to Riot Fest. It's not in the Riot cards this year. It would be near impossible. What are the dates out of curiosity? I don't think I can get out there. I do, due to some unfortunate events that have come to pass, I do have a Chicago trip in my near future, I believe. God willing, in the saddest, most tragic way, I will have a Chicago trip in my near future. I used to live in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for 3 years. I wouldn't go to Chicago just to enjoy Riot Fest. I think at this point, I made a special trip to Chicago back in 2016 to see the Misfits. But like I said, I have a lot of friends, chosen family, that sort of thing in Chicago. I love Chicago, like a second home to me. I went to school there. I miss Chicago dearly, 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 dearly. So Minister of Darkness says, big thanks to Riot Stickers for my fresh batch of stickers for Grendel's Choice. They look awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Minister of Darkness, for choosing the right sticker company, Riot Stickers, for all your stickering needs. If you need 200 die-cut stickers, you can get them for $69. Go to riotstickers.com/Frumess. Link is down in the description. Always be plugin, okay? ABP. Always be plugin. And Riot is happy to do them. Cousin Jody says, maybe London is on a song or two on Final Descent. He is, actually. He is. He plays on those Samhain Grim demos, and he plays on half of November Coming Fire. So I guess he almost plays on a full Samhain record, but he does not play on very many things. He plays on the original Twist of Cain, the original Possession. He plays on Trouble, and he plays on what's the last one? There's one more of those. Hold on, I said Twist of Cain, Possession, Trouble, and what's the last one? There's one more, at least that have come out. There might be even more. I don't know. We've never had a chance to ask London May about that time. It'd be very interesting to hear what he has to say, but I don't think London May would come on the show anytime soon. London, this is an open invitation to you to come on my show and talk about your career. You are more than welcome. We have questions we're curious to ask you, but we're not going to hold our breath. So that's it. John Smith, Lowell, listen to the first 2 seconds. You'll get it. Okay. I mean, I have. John Smith says, I think he's referring to Tiger Army. He says, I just consider them horror punk. I like how every album starts with an instrumental, very Samhain, and each album is numbered 2, 3, 5, etc., etc. Yeah, I appreciate that. I can appreciate that kind of aesthetic. That's cool. Like I said, I think I have their demo, and I think I have the second record, and that's all I have by them. And Incorporeal, great friggin' song. I think they played it live when I saw them at Riot Fest. That's awesome. Sharpie is going to be at Riot Fest. So Riot Stickers is going to be at Riot Fest. So go find Sharpie. If you see him there, say hello to Sharpie. To Shappy. Cousin Jody Ramone. Oh, no, we already read that one. Wicked says, with the Who Killed Marilyn reissue, do you think we'll ever see Samhain or reissues of the 77 to 83 singles? We've covered this question on the last anti-show, so you got to watch the last anti-show to find out the answer to this one, okay? I'm not going to repeat it. It would be nice to have some official reissues of the 77 to 83 singles. I would buy the fuck out of those. I have them all in bootleg. I would own the official ones, especially if he did some crazy variants, man. Oh, would I love that. Right. Thank you, Cousin Jody Ramone. It's the Lords of the Left Hand version 2, which is actually version 1, by the way. So he drums on Lords of the Left Hand, Twist of Cain, Trouble, and I just had it and I lost it, and Possession. And then he also drums on like 4 or 5 of the songs on November Coming Fire. Speaking of November Coming Fire, Pete Marshall, Damien, who was just on to talk about the Stooges Funhouse, he's going to come back in November. We're going to be talking about November Coming Fire in November with Damien himself. We're going to do another album retrospective with him. Keep your eyes peeled for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And we've reached the end. Oh my God, we've reached the end of our trail. Oh, here's another one. Wicked asks, also, do we know what's going on with Walk Among Us? Likely it's been off streaming. Like, why has it been off streaming for years? Well, the rights to Walk Among Us have reverted back to the band. I believe so. They've reverted back to the band, and the band has not done anything to repress it yet. I guess maybe that, I don't know. Maybe they're saving it for some grander design that we just can't even comprehend. We'll have to wait and see. My all-time favorite album cover. By the way, it's funny that Sharpie's bringing this up. We had Ed Culver, the legendary photographer, rock and roll photographer, who documented the whole LA punk scene. I had Kevin 45 as my guest host. It was a really cool episode. And the reason why I bring it up is because we talked a lot about some very iconic album covers that he had taken photographs for, including Black Flag Damaged. Just really cool stories, tons of stories in that episode. I got to clip that up actually, because there's just a ton of really cool stories. But to answer Sharpie's question, my all-time favorite cover art. Let me think about this. I'm going to light another incense here. I'm thinking we could have one more incense while I think about this. Well, I'd have to say, damn. Okay, so Sharpie, are you talking about LPs or are you talking about singles? I feel like I need a little bit more distinction here. I can't just say one or the other. Son of a bitch. I would say Initium is one of them for sure. Initium is, hold on, let me put this here for a second. There's something so utterly awesome about Initium. It's just such a friggin' badass. They're just covered in, horse blood. It's just awesome. I would also say, I don't want to, this is so ridiculous to use another one, but also November Coming Fire, an incredible album art. Dance With Me by TSOL, incredible album art. The Pixies' first two records, Come On Pilgrim, especially Surfer Rosa. There's something so utterly beautiful, devastatingly beautiful and tragic and wonderful about Surfer Rosa's album art. It's erotic. It shows a bare breast of this sort of like flamenco style dancer. It was of this classy sort of black and white photograph. I can't recommend that record enough, let alone the album cover is just beautiful. All the Pixies record covers are interesting, but I would say Surfer Rosa and Come On Pilgrim is like this weird guy with all this back hair. I love that. I love that record cover. I would say 40 Ounce to Freedom, The Sublime Sun. I mean, it's just that's just a beautiful friggin' image. I could stare at that for hours. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Revolver, great album artwork. There's so many, a lot of the Grateful Dead record covers. That's always kind of a gateway into the Grateful Dead music for me. It starts with the art. This is just a list that can go on and on. I'm sorry to say. I do find that a record cover does not necessarily mean that the record is going to be epic. And there are some record covers that are far more epic than the music that's on them, and vice versa. There are records where they have far more epic music than the record cover itself. It's just the way that it goes back and forth. And Sharpie even admits, he says, by the way, I would not be able to answer it. It could be either or just your fave overall. I mean, I can't give you just one for that, for all those reasons. Jody says, it's not my favorite, but a cool album cover is The Clash London Calling. Now, Jody, go Google Elvis Presley, the self-titled record, and you'll see that London Calling's artwork is taken directly from Elvis, straight up. I love Loaded by the Velvet Underground. That has great album artwork on the cover. Yeah, there's a lot, man. Terrapin Station by the Grateful Dead. Working Man's Dead is really cool. I mean, just all their records have really cool record covers. Wicked says, I've always loved the Nervous Breakdowns cover. Got to meet Greg the other day, which was cool. Yeah, Greg's a scumbag, but I don't know why I have to say that when talking about Black Flag. We can just talk about Black Flag without talking about why Greg Ginn is a scumbag. But yeah, I love all of his brother Raymond Pettibone. He did that cover. He did a lot of their album artwork. They have a very signature. The Black Flag artwork is a very signature kind of style for that reason. Oh, Christian Death, Only Theater of Pain. That's another record, that the album cover for that, and Catastrophe Ballet. Holy shit. Go Google Christian Death, Catastrophe Ballet. Take a look at that record cover. That is one of the best. That is one of the best out there, man. It is just really, I mean, that's a very subjective thing to say. That's really fucking good, though. Like really, really, really good. Jody Ramone says, cousin Jody Ramone says, Master of Puppets has a great album cover. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Winston Smith says, in the past, I heard you mention Black Sabbath, both Ozzy and Dio. How much do you get into them? Okay. By the way, that first Black Sabbath record cover, which is very Dance With Me, very much is took from that, is also great. So when it comes to Black Sabbath, there are, there are a handful of Ozzy Sabbath songs that I really enjoy. I love Children of the Grave, From the Grave, Children of the Grave, pretty much everything off of Black Sabbath. And what's the second one called? War Pigs? What's Black Sabbath 2 called? This is going to bother me now. Paranoid. It's called Paranoid. You can't go wrong with that stuff. After that, it kind of, drifts off for me. And then that Dio record is great. Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules are both of those records are interesting. I would say of all the Sabbath songs, both Ozzy and otherwise, one of, if it's definitely in the top 3 somewhere, I would say is Neon Nights, which is actually a Dio Sabbath song. Neon Nights is a great friggin' song and just really sort of captures the spirit of what Sabbath is kind of about, I think. And so yeah, I really enjoy that. But in terms of how much did I get into them, a very passing knowledge, not much at all. I've had flirtations, for me, the song, it has kind of, and this is going to sound weird, it kind of has to do with how long the songs are. I feel like the songs just go on and on and on sometimes. And I guess, I don't know, maybe that's maybe why I'm more of a punk rock guy, but I mean, there are plenty of bands out there that have really long songs and I don't mind them. There's just something about Sabbath. I don't know. I guess it's because I want them to kind of be more punk rock than they are. And they're like, not, they're like heavy. They're classic rock on heavy metal. I mean, the original heavy metal. So I haven't gotten into them all that much. I have a working knowledge of a lot of their records and I know a bunch about their history. And I've said this very controversially in the past and I stand by it. I would pick for a live band. I would pick Dio over Ozzy. I just like the way that Dio does Ozzy's songs. I think he does them better, and it's just the way it is, man. Like I can't. That's all I can say about it. Like I'm not trying to like be a dick or anything. And listen, I do like Ozzy, and I do like what Ozzy does on those records. But when I listen, there's a record. Okay, so there was I've talked about this before. On the expanded edition of Mob Rules, there is a live show, and this is after Bill Ward is out, and they got Carmine, right? Carmine's on drums, and they are so tight as a band. Ronnie, Carmine, Tony, Geezer, it's just unbelievable to listen to. And they do Dio songs, they do Ozzy songs. It's live at the Hammersmith, I think. And you listen to that and you just go, holy shit, this is the Sabbath I would want to see live. And it's just not Ozzy, man. It's just not Ozzy. Sorry to say. A lot of people are like, fuck that shit. I can't help it, man. I can't help it. It's just the way it is. Let me screen this question before a good-looking woman, perfect 10 wants to make love, but she says the whole time she wants to listen to only Mother on repeat. Do you partake? I don't know. That is a tough question to answer. Mother is a song that's very hard to listen to on repeat at this point in time. It is. I'm sorry to say. Just, yeah. I don't know, man. Wicked says Ramones had a lot of good covers and some clangers. They had a few good covers. Street Fighting Man, Let's Dance. The early Ramones covers are great. Let's Dance is a great frigging cover. Sharpie Riot says, never realized you lived in Chicago. That being said, are you a fan of the Vindictives? And if you are, how do you feel about the album Hypno Punko? I've never listened to the Vindictives. I don't know who they are. I'm going to check them out. Because, Sharpie, remember that song you recommended to me by that band that begins with a G, Gunther, I think, or Gunter or something? That is a great song. I have it on my mix, actually. And so you've been pretty right in the past. So I will check out the Vindictives. I guess they're a Chicago band. I'm not familiar with them. I lived in Chicago for 3 years and was, I knew so many people out there, and I had a whole life out there. And then I left. And I got to tell you, man, I miss it. It was a time. It was a vibe. And it's weird. Sometimes I think about that time in my life and I'm like, what if you never left Chicago? And I'm really glad that I left Chicago, because if I didn't leave Chicago, I never would have met my wife. I never would have had kids. So many things wouldn't have come to pass. Right. But at the same time, I lost so many people when I left Chicago. And there's this weird thing of I don't know. Point being is I think if I never left Chicago, I might still be the person I was back then, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's I've also grown. I've grown a lot, and so I don't know if I would want to give up the growth that I've had, even with all the sadness and pain that have come with it, because that's what happens with growth. There's sadness and pain, and things happen, and you lose people and you gain people and this, that, and the other. And, yeah, so it's a weird thing. I know you didn't ask for all that, but that's what I think about when I think about Chicago. And so going back there is not going to be particularly pleasant, because it will be for a very negative reason that I can't talk about on here right now. But suffice to say, it looks like I'm going to be in Chicago in the near future in some point. I wish I was going to Riot Fest. I'm not. Master of Reality. Yeah, Sweet Leaf. Children of the Grave. Master Reality is cool, I guess. Winston's with me. He's a Dio guy. That's cool. How many times have you seen Glenn live? Okay. I saw Glenn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times live. Of those 9 times, I met him twice. So Winston Smith with the support. Thank you, Winston Smith. Much appreciate it. Yeah, Vinny is Carmine's brother. That's right. Oh, it's Vinny, Carmine's brother. Wait, Vinny plays on what? I thought Vinny. No, isn't it? So wait, so it's. Oh yeah, you're right. It is Vinny. Vinny played in Sabbath. And also, thank you, Riot Stickers, joining Winston. Thank you, Riot Stickers, for your support as well. Wicked says, also just wanted to mention, Jeff, thanks for turning me on to Dark Thoughts. They're one of my faves now. I own their entire discography. You have any other recommendations of new classic punk stuff? Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of recommendations. I'm glad that you've taken some of my recommendations. I recommend to you, check out Abby Ooze. I love Abby Ooze. She's great. I've had her on the show. I recommend the Mummies. I recommend Tijuana Panthers. Fiddlar is another great band. Trying to think of some new punk stuff that I just recently got into. Oh, Prison Affair. Check out Prison Affair, everybody. If you like egg punk, if you like just really fast, weird punk rock, check out. They're called Prison Affair. Oh, This one's huge. Okay, everybody who is into like 50s music and doo-wop and horror punk and all that stuff, check out the Pukes. Check out the Pukes. Listen to Do a Diddy. Just listen to the Murder, Do a Diddy, They'll Never Find You, the Ketchup song. Listen to that whole record. Just a phenomenal record from start to finish. Just a real dirty sort of doo-wop-y kind of vibe to them. Really great. The Frights, another band who also kind of have a dirty doo-wop thing going on. Highly recommend them. So, and of course, Jay Reatard. Can't go wrong with that. Riot Sticker says, yeah, the Vindictives were a 90s punk band. I love them. I think you would like them, but the album Hypno Punko is odd. I love it, but I had trouble getting people to agree. I'll check it out. I'm always looking. Always looking. All right, goodbye, John Smith. I will legit watch Nightmares 1983, and I believe it's a solid anthology. That's a lot of times. Awesome. Did you see the Sam Hain reunions? I saw 2. So here's the thing. While living in Chicago, no, sorry, it was after I lived in Chicago, I went to the 2 Danzig Legacy shows. And I got to tell you, I think that, listen, I love the Misfits reunion, but I think that in a weird kind of way, and that first Misfits show, the first Misfits Riot Fest show was so utterly exciting. It was one of the best shows I've ever been to. It was just what an experience. But I'll say this, there was something truly wonderfully exciting and amazing about the Danzig Legacy shows, because you got 3 sets. You opened with a Danzig set, then you get a Sam Hain set, and then you get a Misfit set. You got Steve in London for the Sam Hain set. You get Doyle for the Misfit set. And then they go back and they do more Danzig songs, and then they do an encore with Danzig and an encore of Misfits. You just can't go wrong, man. And the whole thing was $35. What a fucking deal that was. I saw that in Chicago and I saw that in New York. They only did 4 shows initially. I think they expanded it, but there were 4 original shows. And that was back at the Congress Theater, man. And that was when I met Glenn. That was the first time I met Glenn. I didn't really meet him as much. I was backstage. I got to take my picture with him. I said maybe 2 words to him. And I don't even know if he said anything. He seemed like he was kind of in a bad mood at the moment when he was in the room. We were eating his pizza. There was pizza. Devilman got us back there. I had just met Steve Zing too. I just met him. I met him a year prior to that. So, and I just met Steve. And that was when I met London and Doyle. That was a good friggin' time, man. That was a good friggin' time. And we lost our minds in the pit, and it just was a good time. And the Congress was a great theater, man. It was a great theater to see bands, really. I really liked the Congress Theater, and it's gone now. But Congress used to be a part of Riot Fest. I should say Riot Fest used to do things at the Congress Theater. It was a great place. So yeah, the Danzig Legacy, man. I mean, you just couldn't beat that. It was a great deal. And, some people recorded the sets and they're out there somewhere. You got to find them. I don't know if they're on YouTube anymore, but yeah, they were great. That was really great. Thanks for the Rex. Always got to have a notepad when I catch the Uncle Jeff stream. Hey, thank you, Wicked. The ranch in the dressing room. Yes. The ranch is sitting right over there. For anybody who doesn't know what this is in reference to, go look that up on the channel. I'm not going to talk about it now. Cousin Jody says that would have been better in my opinion too. Legacy show. I mean, look. Bottom line, there's nothing compares to seeing Glenn and Jerry together on stage with Jerry doing those backing vocals and just belting out Misfits song after Misfits song. But just him being there with Doyle was amazing. It was amazing because back at that time, that was a time when, there was like this period from 2004 to like, I don't know, maybe it was like the first 5 or 6 years where it was just so like surreal that Glenn was playing Misfit songs with Doyle, And obviously it was a reaction. It was a visceral reaction to not being able to make a reunion deal work with Jerry in 2002. You know what I mean? which is why it was initially called Misfits Revenge, and we talked about that with Jerry Montano when we had him on, because he was there when they first started doing the Misfit songs. He was the bass player. Steve hadn't officially joined the band yet. So it's kind of interesting to me. It's kind of interesting that like how that was almost in a weird way. That was just as surreal as when they all started playing songs. I guess I've been desensitized because pre-2016, like we were all like, couldn't fathom a Misfits reunion. It just seems so impossible. And now just as much time from those Danzig Legacy shows to the Misfits reunion, more time has passed now from the first Misfits reunion to the last Misfits reunion than from the Danzig Legacy to the Misfits reunion. You know what I mean? That was 2011 to 20. So it was only like 5 years we had to wait, versus now it's been, we're coming up on 8 years, right? It's kind of like, it's kind of gotten stale in a way. The Misfits shows, like a little bit, not stale, but it's just kind of like, okay, we've seen it. We saw the thing, either play some new songs or put out a record of some kind or do something. It's just I guess, I don't know. I guess maybe it's like, could you ever get tired of them doing those fucking songs? Right. They've only done about a tour's worth of shows, right? They've done 20 something shows at this point. I mean, they've really not done it that many times. Well, all things considered, considering reunions, considering the way that reunions usually work, where you do a world tour and you do 100 dates. They haven't done 100 dates. However, it is interesting that this is the most intact, stable Misfits lineup to date. And part of that probably has to do with maybe age a little bit, but also the fact that they're making money. And as we know, a country that has McDonald's will never attack another country that has McDonald's. Why? Because there's too much money to be made. And when there's too much money to be made, Glenn and Jerry can put their differences aside and go do the thing. All of that to say that Danzig Legacy was awesome. It fucking ruled, man. And I miss it. I miss it. I really love seeing the Elvis shows. I'm jealous. I did not get to see the Elvis shows. I did get to hear the Elvis shows, but I did not get to see the Elvis shows. And I bet that's awesome. I bet they were fun. They were fun to see. I kind of wish that he would do that. Would be, I've seen Danzig, I've seen Sam Hain, I've seen the Mist at this point. I think the thing that I would really need to see to like sort of watch Glenn's, career kind of set, like sunset, I'd want to see him do the Misfits songs. That would be really, the Elvis songs. That would be really special. I'm surprised that he doesn't do a live record of the Elvis stuff. Like, he should do that. Jody says, I wonder how good the 99 Sam Hain shows were. I would have been 6 at the time. Bummer. Well, you make me feel real old. I'm a couple years older than you. When those happened, I was 13, 14 years old. So it was about double your age. And, I've listened to the recordings. They're interesting. They seem okay. They've done a variation of that lineup since, and it's been fine. I saw that's the lineup essentially that we saw, minus Todd Youth in 2011. Wicked says, I'm just glad that Glenn, Jerry, and Doyle are still out there doing their thing. We got to be grateful while they're still doing it. There will come a day where they will play their last. I'm okay with that. I've relegated. I've accepted. I've accepted that is that's going to come to pass. And I feel like I've seen it enough times now where I feel good about it. I've seen it 4 times. I don't know if I need to see it ever again. I just don't. I don't think so. Riot Sticker says, I know we would all love a Misfits album, but that's asking a lot. If there are only 2 to 3 cool songs, we might hear some shit. They should just release one song and make it a great one. That's not, listen, that's not a bad way to go about it either. Now we've talked about like especially if they were old arrangements, old songs that were made with Glenn's early mentality instead of now, that could work. Then again, maybe we're just better off with those old and great songs. That's the thing. It's like the perfect It's like the perfect corpse. They left the perfect corpse. Like, do we want to fuck with the corpse? We should just be happy that they play the corpse. They play the songs as well as they do and just leave it at that. We don't need anything else. Paul says, what's up, Jeff? Didn't know you was on. Paul, haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're well. And turn on notifications and you can always know when we're going live. The Elvis set is better live, big time. Well, I haven't seen it live, but as I said, I heard it live and it sounded pretty friggin' spectacular. What I heard sounded pretty spectacular. Maclovia says a Misfits reunion live album would be great. It would be, but like at the same time, maybe if they threw in a few rare songs that they're not playing in their live set, because I don't know, I feel like it's just a retread of some kind. Jody wants to get the Super 7 Misfits Sam Hain figures. Those figures just don't really do it for me, man. If I was going to buy one figure, it would be that little trick-or-treater guy with the Misfits costume. That's cool. That's a cool piece of merch. And you could tell it wasn't something that Glenn thought up of, because if he did, it wouldn't look like that. It wouldn't be cool because Glenn has lost whatever incredible sensibilities he used to have. I feel like he doesn't really have much anymore, unfortunately. Wicked asks, do you ever wish that the reunion shows would use the original tunings? Do they do it so it doesn't kill Glenn's voice? I have no clue. I didn't even know that they were using different tunings. I don't know. It's not something I wish, because I don't know anything about that stuff, and I'm not sure that would make or break the show for me. I do know that AC Slade is there for Glenn because Glenn has problems with Doyle's guitar tone, and so AC is kind of there to kind of glue everything together in a weird kind of way. Jody says, I've always liked those Medicom vinyl figures from like 05, 06, Misfits Sam and Danzig. Yeah, those are interesting. I don't know, man. I wish I was more of a toy collector than I am, and I'm just not into it. Just not my thing. Yeah, I don't know. I think that brings us to the end of the questions here. Unless you guys got anything else, I'll give it another few minutes and then we can wrap this sucker up. You know, they're all, Wicked says they're all in some drop tuning. They sound a lot heavier, probably because of Doyle and Doyle's tone. Pretty much everything from 95 Fits up has used a drop tuning. A lot of metal bands do that. Original Misfits uses standard. I mean, that might be because of Doyle and Jerry. And again, it's like, it's hard to work backwards. It's hard to go back to your original sound, but especially those guys. God bless Jerry and Doyle, Uncle Jerry and Uncle Doyle, Uncle Jerry and Cousin Doyle, but they're one note, man. They're one note in the sense that they do one thing and they do it really fucking well. And they do this one thing and they play these Misfit songs by Glenn, you know, and that's what they do. And yes, they've put out original music and it's all fine and dandy. And I've said what I've said about their stuff, but it's, their one note is the one note that their secret sauce that's earned them the most accolades and money and critical success and all this, that, and the other is playing those 54 songs from their original canon. And that's just what they do, you know? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Paul. Paul's wife is ailing and preparing to get a stem cell transplant. Well, Paul, I say a prayer for your wife, and I truly wish her the best. I'm wishing her the best, wishing her a full, strong, healthy recovery. And I'm sorry to hear that, man. And just hang in there, okay? Hey, we've reached the end. Do you guys got anything for me? If you don't, we're going to end the stream. That's the way the stream works. This is like a train. If I run out of track, the train crashes and we're done. But if you lay some more track down for me, I can keep going for a little bit longer. T's and P's, man. Anywhere we can help you. I don't know. Oh, thoughts and prayers. Yeah, maybe you should just say thoughts and prayers instead of T's and P's. Might be a little bit more impactful. Jody says, what's the worst concert in general you've been to, the worst experience at one? Huh. Good question, Jody. Good question. My worst concert in general I've been to, or worst experience at one. I don't think I've really had any bad experiences. I've had my teeth knocked out. I had this tooth knocked out while I was seeing Iggy and the Stooges, but that wasn't a worst sort of situation. I had the time of my life. I guess the first time I was ever supposed to see Danzig, I missed the concert. There was supposed to be an opener, I believe, at the Congress Theater, no less. Here's a story. Supposed to go see Danzig. It's going to be my first time. It's right around Halloween time. I head over to the Congress Theater. I see everybody walking away from the theater, and I'm going, what the hell? I didn't know. I didn't have set times. I didn't know what the deal was. I thought that there were 2 openers. Apparently, there were no openers. So by the time I got to the show had ended. I was bummed out, but it was okay. It wasn't the end of the world. And, I was backstage by the trailer. I was by the trailer, and that's where I met Bob and Charlie, especially Charlie, who became very close friends that I know to this day. And when the Misfits reunited, the 3 of us were together. That was 8 years later. You never know who you're going to meet when you go to a show alone, let alone a show that you might miss or overshoot. And I ended up getting my ticket stub signed by Glenn. Kind of meaningless. Autographs are kind of meaningless to me in general. I much prefer pictures, and he wasn't doing pictures. He was just getting stuff signed on his bus. And, it was a bummer that I missed the show. It was like $20 or $25, whatever. But I met 2 kindred Danzig fans that day, and we were still friends to this day, especially Charlie and I. Charlie's the guy who makes those little figures. The guy who does the Misfits Samhain Danzig figures, and he does all the little figurines, and we've plugged him. He did all the cereal monsters over there that I've talked about. That's Charlie Fitz. So that was my worst concert experience, I guess, but it wasn't really that bad. It was okay. Dagger Love. We haven't seen Dagger in a long time. Dagger, how are you? Dagger says, who's going to Sisters of Mercy in September? Not me. I know 2 Sisters of Mercy songs, This Corrosion and another one that I can't even name. This Corrosion is a 12-minute song. It's a very long song. It's not bad, but it's long. It's a good song. And that's all I could say about Sisters of Mercy. I got nothing else. Wicked says, I don't know if you've talked about this before, but do you put any stock in Glenn have something to do with bootlegs? I know Erie has alluded to it. I don't know, man. I don't know anything about that. And I definitely didn't talk about it on the last anti-show. So, I don't know, man. I could not say. All right. Guys, I'm going to give this 5 minutes, and then I'm going to peel out of here. So if you have anything else to bring to the table, let's do it. We'll do this again, but I'm going to wait a little bit longer. Maybe it's a little too close to the last one we did. I still had a pretty good turnout here, but it wasn't as as that first one, I think. Maybe we're just chasing the dragon, and that's part of the problem. That could always be a problem. You don't want to chase the dragon, kids. It just doesn't suffice. Well, how about that? Riot thinks that these are the best. That's great. I mean, that's amazing to me because there's nothing planned. Cousin Jody has Doc Martens that are arriving in the mail tomorrow, and he's pretty stoked about them. That's awesome. Are they like, do they have the bouncing souls? Like the bouncing souls, Doc Martin? Doc Martin? Wow, can't say that word. Doc Martens. Wicked ass, do we know how Robo's doing? Haven't heard from him in a bit. Robo, I don't know, man. He comes to and from South America. I think he runs a restaurant down there, and he always has visa problems. And I tried to get something going with Robo a while back. It didn't pan out. He did one of those autograph signing things. He made a lot of money. Very happy for him that he did. I know he has a documentary out about him. I'm not sure what exactly it's about. I'm not sure is there a feature-length documentary, like documentaries worth amount of material about Robo? I don't know. But check it out. Check out the Robo doc. Jody Ramon says, yep, bouncing soles and grain leather instead of the basic plasticky leather. That's great. That's awesome, man. I hope you enjoy them. Those are important. Having a good bouncing sole is good for when you're in the pit. Got to be in the pit. Jody asks, I wonder how Biscuits is doing. I mean, well, he was at that Pomona thing for the No Values show. He was there, and apparently he got kind of bummed out that everybody was recognizing him and not like he eventually left early, from my understanding. Clovius, have you pre-ordered Danzig's Black Hell? If so, 7 or 12 inch. I have not. I still am on the fence. I still don't know if I'm going to buy it. I don't think I am, man. I don't know. We'll see. I keep ruling it out. I'm also a little cynical that he's going to, release several more variants, and one of them is going to be one that I really want. So I've kind of held off a little bit on getting Black Hell. I'll probably cave and buy it, and that'll be it. Winston Smith, have you heard John Lennon throwing shade at Jimi Hendrix being not as good as he used to be? Yeah, I saw that clip making the rounds. I think it was a little overblown. I didn't pay too close attention to it. I've been out of my Beatles phase for a while now. That waxes and wanes. I go from not listening to the Beatles to just obsessively listening to the Beatles and reading about the Beatles, and it goes back and forth. And so I'm just coming out of a bender like that. Yes, November Coming Fire, sour cream. That's right. We have sour cream t-shirts. We actually have sour cream t-shirts in the style of November Coming Fire, down in the links below. Check those out. What else? I don't know. I think it's time. I'm gonna end the stream, guys. I'm gonna go watch the last episode of Invincible. I've fallen way behind on movie watching, and I think I'm gonna go do that. I think I'm gonna just unwind. Oh, damn it. I got to answer this one. This is a good question. JH asks, what did I think of that Beatles song they released? The Now and Then track. Here's my ultimate 2 cents on it. Ready? My ultimate 2 cents is the following. Now and Then, if all 4 Beatles were alive, Now and Then never would have been released. John and George would have totally shit canned it and would not have been about it. It is not a great Beatles song, but here's the point. It's the last Beatles song. That's the difference. It's the only track that had George Harrison on it and John Lennon on it, and Paul and Ringo were able to work on it and turn it into the final Beatles track. For me, I consider it to be canon. It's canon, baby. I say Let It Ride. So it's not the best Beatles track, but it's the last one, and that's the thing to remember. It's okay. It's an okay song. The music video gives it way more gravitas and impact, right? It gives it way more impact when you watch the music video. But the song itself it's mediocre. The best of those songs that came out was Free as a Bird. They in sequential order, diminishing returns. It was Free as a Bird, Real Love, and then Now and Then. But is it cool that in the year 2023, we had one final Beatles track that was being considered to be the last Beatles track? That was truly the punctuation. And it's kind of sad that the song is called Now and Then. It works. It totally friggin' works, man. So even though it's not the best, or even though it's not a high caliber song, the fact that it's a Beatles song, that it's kind of like the last one. Some people are saying it's not the Beatles. It's not the Beatles because John didn't approve of it and George didn't approve of it. But again, it's a track that has all four of them. You know, hypothetically, they could go back and they could do more. They could make a whole album's worth of material. There's stuff out there. And maybe they will. And you know what? I guess in this day and age with two dead Beatles, I don't mind. I really don't, man. I can't rule that out. But I don't think they would do that. That kind of is outside of their integrity. And so therefore, this is the final track. And if this is the final track, then so be it. I'm okay with it. It's fine. It's fine. That's the answer. That's the answer. It's fine. Okay. Thank you, Sharpie Riot. Thank you, Joey Ramone and Wicked. We'll be back with another anti-show. We'll do one more in the future. But we'll take a break for the time being. Yeah, it was okay. Not great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Winston and Riot, again for the support. Make sure you go check out riotstickers.com/Frumess. Take advantage of this deal. 200 stickers for $69. Link down in the description. Peace and hair grease, everybody. And we'll see you next time here at the Anti-Show.